Hey, it's Chris Knight, founder of Self-Intelligence. Welcome to another episode of the Self-Intelligence podcast, where everyday people just like you can get free expert guidance and support to resolve any personal problem or drama you're experiencing. In this episode, we explore the complex emotions that arise when a parent is nearing the end of their life due to old age or illness. These feelings often remain unspoken and unacknowledged, especially when there is unresolved anger, resentment, and hurt within the parent-child relationship. This is why Joan reached out to me to have this podcast session. Joan's mother is dying of cancer, and she finds herself grappling with confusion about her role and how to support a mother she has distanced herself from over the years. Joan has bravely chosen to join me today to resolve her inner turmoil. She is plagued by fears of regret, loss, guilt, shame, all stemming from her perceived selfishness in the decisions she's currently making. I extend my deepest gratitude to Joan for opening up about her inner struggles and seeking clarity, forgiveness, and love as she navigates these precious final moments with her mother. Thank you, Joan, for coming on to chat about a very vulnerable subject that often involves all sorts of emotions, and some of those being surprising. So what you have put in for me is a request to discuss your mother, who is recently being diagnosed with cancer. You've experienced various emotions, perceptions, all sorts of things come up around that time, don't they?
Yes, that's how it is right now.
Yeah, I'd love to navigate that with you and really just unpack and support you in this time. It's a really great opportunity to forgive, to purge. Death has amazing medicine in it, doesn't it? It is the ultimate perspective provider in the course of our lives, where everything is about my life and what I'm trying to achieve, what I'm trying to do, and all of this. When death comes to anybody, it could even be just someone you've heard about, not even your own family. It's like, wait a second, what's important and what's really going on and what matters and all of that. But let's talk about your specific experience and what you've been going through and what you wanted to bring up today.
I think I also mentioned how much regret I had um, when it was my father's death. So like not being there enough, or what I think I should have been there more, or should have done more before he died. And so now I'm at that point also that I don't want to regret, or I'm afraid that I might regret the same things in the eventuality that my mother passes away. So I'm not sure, in fact, how I should feel or what I'm feeling right now, because I don't want to have that guilt, but at the same time, it's we're not that close anymore, because the past few years, there are things that happened for us to drift away. I'm not even sure, let's say, how I should say my goodbyes to her, if I should, or. But right now, then, as I also mentioned, I accepted a job in a different city. So, and it's about a day away, a day's travel. So it's not that easy to go back to her. No, it might be some time before I go back, and I'm not sure if she'll still be around by the time I go back.
The past that you've had with her as a child and the recent past, moving away from each other or things that have taken place, what it sounds like to me, and you can clarify, is all the ideas of what you think you should or naturally be in this situation, their emotions or how you may take care of her or how you may grieve her, and all of this is just a bit confused. It sounds, it's like I'm not feeling all the normal things. I don't even know. I'd have to be making it up. Does it feel like you'd have to create something in order to deal with this?
Yes, exactly. Like I keep thinking I should be there to take care of her. It's like I'm duty bound as a daughter to stay there with her to help my sister also take care of her.
Have you been directly asked to go and help her and stay with her and all of these things? Is this taking place?
No, because I told my sister that I'm working elsewhere, and she didn't say anything else. She just said, okay.
Okay, so your sister hasn't brought it up. She hasn't said, look, for practical reasons, you're required in order to help mum. She hasn't said this. Are we clear about that?
Yeah, she hasn't said it, although the last time I was on the phone with her, she was saying she can't do this 24/7. I mean, taking care of our mother. So just this week, I think she got a caregiver to help her with taking care of her.
Have you said to your sister directly, do you want support in regards to this?
No, because I already said yes to this job last year. And so I just told her that I have to be going.
You've made a decision not to be where your mum is, correct?
Yes, correct.
And now you're worried that you may regret that decision because you may have guilt similar to what you had with your father when you weren't around enough.
Right. And it also doesn't help because I'm the one that has the background in healthcare. So my sister has no background in healthcare. More or less, I've been taking care also of patients in the past, connected to my work.
All right, so you're the one who's more skilled also. So just more justifiable reasons to feel like you should be there. Yes, yes.
That's what I'm telling myself. It should be me, or yeah. At the same time, I got this job also to support me and my two children.
What happens in these situations when it comes to self-intelligence is, even though you may not see it like a trigger, we have a thing called a trigger log. You're aware of the trigger log, and there's a situation that you place on the trigger log. Now, why do you put something on the trigger log? Simply when you don't feel at ease in yourself. Yes, and something feels off, doesn't feel right. What's going on? You know that there are thoughts and perceptions, right, going on. So you would say, okay, something feels off about this. I've made a choice to work. Mum's dying. I don't know how to feel or what I should do. Put it on the trigger log, and that's simply what you would write. Now, the next steps are to look at a couple of key problematic thoughts and perceptions that hone in on that discomfort, that create that discomfort. So the should and shouldn'ts, which are based in judgment, which are largely created by your conditioning, by your cultural conditioning and by your parenting conditioning and those types of things, and the collective consciousness conditioning as well. You're starting to navigate, well, the choices I'm making aren't necessarily aligned with the conditioning I've been given, and they're causing inner conflict, correct?
Yes, correct. So I actually did try to do the trigger inquiry on this. So one is that I should take care of her, as gratitude for her taking care of me.
Well, there's a justification in that, one, and two, that's the kind of transactional giving, receiving level of things. You know, she looked after me, I should look after her. Yes, that's a good one, yeah?
Yeah, so that now that she's in need, I should be there for her, and if not just for her, also for my sister, to help her out. So my what if she passes away and I'll carry the burden of feeling guilty for not attending to her?
That's a big one. So one of the major features on the trigger log is the what if. So what if I cannot live with my decision? What if I cannot live with myself? Because this is the thing, isn't it? There's a apparently like a person in there in the head called like a voice, that if you don't make the right decisions, it's gonna kick your ass for the rest of your life. So you're like, oof, right? I better make sure that voice in the head's happy.
Exactly. Yes, that's how I'm feeling right now. Yes.
So it's like, I'm not sure if my decisions are going to really make that voice in my head happy, because that voice in my head is conditioned with certain beliefs and ideas. Okay, so this is good. fear of that, fear of your own self. I'm fearing being molested, being punished from the inside of me. That's important to realize that. And it's like, wait a sec, I'm the only one who's with me. So maybe there's not so much to be afraid of, but we'll keep going. So like there's the what if I can't do that? What else you got?
So I have the meaning like that I have an obligation or a duty to her.
So what does it mean about you, Joan? And what could it mean for your life? You can even go there as well. Because you mentioned already guilt, right? What if I feel guilty? You see, whenever you feel guilt, the next question is, what am I afraid of losing? Now, we may already have covered this, but sometimes it's worth looking at just to get all angles of it. When you feel guilt, you're afraid of losing something. So let's keep that in mind and let's go to the meaning. So what does it mean? What could it possibly mean about you or to your life? And paying attention to loss potentially in that, given that you've brought up guilt.
Right now, it just means that I have more time to take care of my own children.
Okay, so that's not a trigger. That is not going to create discomfort for you, Joan. That's just a practical thing. What we're looking for is what creates the discomfort in you right now. What's creating that fear, right? Because the reason we're in this conversation is because you're afraid that you've made the wrong decision, right? That's clear, isn't it?
Right.
So the meaning will have the fear in it. So I'm asking you, I'm going to give you a clue, an extra clue in this as well. Self-judgment will be likely in this.
Oh yeah, that there's a lot of that. Like I've like judgments about myself. I'm thinking that I'm selfish.
Perfect. So that's the meaning. Yeah. So then you would say the meaning, what it means is I'm selfish. What it means is I'm whatever you want to say. Selfish is probably a really good start.
Either I'm selfish because I'm only thinking of my own situation, or that I'm ungrateful, that that I'm not, let's say, paying back through taking care of her.
Okay, let's look at selfishness, because is selfishness something that's celebrated in your culture, to just look after you kind of thing? Or is the conditioning more about looking after everybody else first?
It's something like you have to be there for family. It's like you can't abandon them. You just, your first obligation is to family.
And look at this. Look how confusing that conditioning is, right? Because there's no way to understand that from any logical standpoint, because on one hand, you're saying, well, I've chosen this job to look after my family, which are my kids, right? But my family also is my mother, and she's not here. Now, I've taken this job because it's the job I want. If I'm happy doing the job that I want, I'm able to look after my kids, which would spill out to being a good environment for them, which would be, that may be a non-selfish thing to do. And yet, in the same breath, I can be terrified that I'm being selfish because I should be looking after my sick mum. You got two dependents, sick mum, children, two dependents in need, and you're torn, right? Torn. So by today, you're not going to be torn. You're just going to accept, and it's going to be like, I don't have to be torn. This is where we're going to get to, right? But some things have to be understood. The other thing with selfishness that you have to get very clear about is, where do you want to be, Joan? Are you happy that you chose this job and that feels like the right course of action for you?
Yes, it is. It's just, I was thinking, it's just the wrong time.
Do you feel like the choice that you've made, outside of, take away the mother situation, outside of your obligations and fears of being selfish and that, does this feel right in your system? Like this is where I'm feeling I'm supposed to be, if that makes sense.
Yes, because when I made that decision, I felt lighter. In fact, while I'm here, I feel lighter. I'm excited about it.
Okay. So these are very good indications, Joan, because intuition is an inner guidance system to lightness. When we're listening to the inner tutor, the inner guidance, it rubs up against conditioning. And then the heaviness comes with that, you see. But without the conditioning, you're like, no, without the conditioning, it feels light. It's fine. It's good. But with the conditioning, the heaviness can come back. So there's importance you can discern this. Let's say then that if this is the right course of action for you, and right, not being about right and wrong, because no one can work that out, just right for you, right in your system, then would it not be selfish to choose otherwise just so that you can secure the possibility of not feeling guilty later down the track?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yes.
So let's say you pull your kids out of their situation. You say no to the boss and everything that's going on there. You tell the current landlord or wherever you're at, you got to go. All these other interactions, they all get told no, 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 no. Why? Because I want to make sure I don't have to feel guilty. If you really look at that, it's like, wouldn't that be selfish?
Yes. Yeah. Now that you point it that way, yeah.
No matter what you do here then, Joan, in a sense, from that level of thinking or consciousness, is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Yes, that's how I'm feeling. Especially I've been oscillating between I feel guilty that I left my mom, but at the same time, I don't feel guilty because I'm doing well what for me is I feel is the right thing for me to do. And then I think again, oh, but I should feel guilty for not feeling guilty.
Yes, isn't that how insane is that thought?
It's just like a loop.
It is a loop. It is, and so the fact that you can see it is the first step, because I should feel guilty for not feeling guilty. You catch a thought like that, it's not going to last very long because it's completely insane. So it may occupy your mind for a little bit, but it won't drive you, if that makes sense, and it'll actually reduce down to nothing. Whenever you're doing trigger inquiry and inquiry into what's going on within yourself and you start to see things clearly, it's not that they don't come, but it's that they don't stay because they don't have you investing in them anymore. So the meaning that you've got is, I'll be selfish. It'll be selfish. If you're selfish, let's look at that in terms of guilt. What do you possibly stand to lose? The guilt is there because the thought that you're suffering is, it means I'm selfish. That's the thought you're suffering. The guilt is the outer expression, the emotional expression of that perception or thought. So if the guilt is saying, I'm going to lose something, I'm asking you, by being selfish as you believe it, tell me what you're going to lose. If you would like to discover who you really are beyond the voice in your head and emotional states that cause relationship drama, stress, health issues, procrastination, sabotage, addictions, essentially all the drama and personal problems you can think of, come and join me for the Wake Up Experience, which is the first step in freeing yourself from the inside out. See the link in the description for more details.
Oh, I think it's more like my place in the family. It's like I'm not going to be accepted anymore, or they wouldn't like me anymore. No, my siblings are probably going to judge me for this.
Yes, perfect. So now you're clear about what you stand to lose. And I'll add a dimension in there for your consideration. You may also be afraid you're going to lose your own approval. That's why people say, I wouldn't be able to live with myself because I would have lost my judgments, would mean that I lose my own approval. And if I lose my own approval, how can I escape? I'm a prisoner of my own self-judgment, my own disapproval. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense. Yeah, I can feel that it's mostly out of my judgment of myself more than the decision that I've made. The decision was easy enough to make, but I think the judgment, my own judgment, that's just either holding me back or keeping me with these guilty thoughts.
So it's the decision's easy, but can you live with your decision?
Right now, I can say yes.
Well, can you live with your decision at ease without this fear of, oh my gosh, am I going to regret my decision? That's what we're working through. So we're getting extremely clear about the network of delusion that is causing this discomfort for you, because the clearer you are about it, your capacity to witness it dissolves it. Now, there's a whole range of places we can go in the inquiry through the shadow inquiry. We've already covered one fear, because when we move from judgment, because everything starts there, then we go to fear, and we go to fear of loss, because we got a clue in on that with the feeling of guilt. It gave us the entry there. And then you have your reactions, right? How do you react when you believe this thought that you are being selfish? Have you noticed any kinds of reactions taking place?
Actually, it's more of I can sit with the thoughts, but it's just that it keeps coming back. The guilty thoughts keep coming back, and then when I look at it and try to go through the questions of the trigger inquiry, I feel more at ease. But then the thoughts come back in again, and it's just been cycling through these past 2 weeks.
Did you get to the meaning being I'm selfish?
Oh no, that one just came out this time. But I did put that in the judgment about myself, that I am selfish.
I would suggest that's your focus.
Okay.
What do you feel about that? Do you feel that there's more to go into this, or do you feel like that's kind of hitting the crux of the problem?
I think that one is the main judgment I have of myself. Yeah.
So that's the main one. You're not going to be able to live with yourself. That's the one that you're fearing is going to catch up with you later down the track, that you're trying to mitigate, you see.
Yes.
Okay. So you continue to inquire to I'm selfish. Now let's look at the questions that we can go to with that inquiry.
Okay, can I just ask a question? Yeah. Because I wrote down in the universal reactions, you were asking me what my reactions are. So I put here that I become defensive, or I try to justify not taking care of her because I have to take care of my family. So I'm not sure if that's just something practical, or is that again my ego saying that, oh no, I have to do this, that's why I'm not there.
When you said it to me earlier, it triggered an alarm bell of a justification when I heard you say it. Only you can know for yourself if it's justification or it's a practicality. If you have to say if you have to convince yourself of anything, no, it's okay, I'm here for my kids, you're justifying, you're not at ease. Whenever the mind is stewing on anything, it's trying to bring you back into a state of flow and ease, but it does it in all the wrong ways, right? Because it's an egoic-based attempt to feel at ease. And every human being on the planet tries to do it. And life throws things that you cannot justify into being at ease. It just doesn't allow it to happen. This is oftentimes when we resort to drugs and distractions to get our mind off the thing that we cannot justify. So like Joan ends up somehow down at the pokies a lot more than she would ordinarily be, because or on your phone a lot more or something, because I've got to get away from these painful thoughts, you see. And it's like, and because the painful thoughts don't just stay as thoughts, they express themselves physically as feelings, as emotions, as symptoms, all sorts of things. Right. So it's like, it won't go away. I've got to do something. Justification is the first step to try to deal with it. If it doesn't work, then you get the next and the next and the next. You're dealing with it in a conscious way, which is to see that thought is a justification. It is not the thought that's going to actually bring me to peace with myself. The only thing that brings me to peace within myself is to realize the thought is not true. And furthermore, the voice that's saying I'm selfish is just another thought. It is not me, and it is not a me I need to be afraid of either. Why? Because I am its witness. But until this point, until we have done this together, that core trigger aspect of this hasn't been put in the light of your awareness because it wasn't the one that was focused on.
Yes, because I think I was focusing mostly on the guilty feelings, and that's what I was trying to witness, that okay, I have these feelings. But I didn't really go deeper into the selfish aspect of the thoughts. So now I can start to look at it.
Yes, and there are particular questions in the inquiry that will be more beneficial to you than others. And I'm just scanning through a couple of those now. Is the thought that you're believing about the situation true or factual? Which would be, is it true that I'm selfish? Now, true is not an opinion. True is what's happening, reality. So you are to come in now with this broader sense of, if I come from my mind in this egoic, fearful place, anything I do is going to be selfish because all I'm doing is trying to get rid of that fear. So everything I do is going to be selfish. It doesn't matter what it is. Look after my mom, don't look after my mom, whatever the case. All right. So now I sit in the full recognition of that, and I am that thought's witness. We can do this now even. If you can witness that thought, this thought, it means I'm selfish. It means I'm selfish. Is it true?
No, because I can see also that it's transitory. I mean, the thought just went away.
Perfect. In your experience right now, in the witnessing position of that thought, are you in conflict?
I don't feel the conflict at this moment.
If you would like to download a free beginner self-recognition guided meditation audio to start your journey of healing and freeing yourself from the inside out, see the link in the description or go to selfintelligence.com. And you know where the only place that you can verify that that's true beyond concept is in the body. So your body will feel at ease. Yes. And now you know it's not a justification, because when you are justifying, you're not at ease, and your body will show you that.
Yeah, there were times that I think my shoulders start to tighten when I feel na it's not when I feel the guilt, and I say, oh, I'm so guilty. That. Then after a while it passes away.
Now that you're clear, anytime this thought comes, your discipline, your dedication, your devotion, your non-selfishness is to sit for 5 minutes with that thought. This decision I've made means I'm selfish. The other question, other than is it true, I would suggest you look at is, whose business is it?
Yeah, because I answered that like, who is supposed to take care of her? Like, but I came up also, I mean, I was thinking, well, the story of my life is like, as a daughter, I'm duty bound, or as one who has skills in healthcare, I should be the one. You know, I recognize that those are the stories or the roles that I put myself in. That's why I should be the one, is because of those two reasons.
There are practical inclinations to support elderly when they're, sick and need support and all that type of thing. This is a natural thing to do that. The conditioned expectation to do that often provides a very toxic environment. Some of the most traumatic experiences people can say happened in their lives is when their parent got sick and they had to look after them, and they're just like, all of their resentment and unfinished business and a whole lot of anger and sadness and various different things that weren't able to be processed through the personal viewpoint that it was taking happen. So the person thinks, I'm responsible because it sort of makes sense that I am, but I'm not even safe ground to even look after this person because I'm bringing all my suitcase of past shit with me. And when you come in the presence, in the non-fear, this is your least selfish place because you're not in a fearful place. Fear breeds selfishness. So if you were to go there in fear, you will be selfish while you're there, and then you will bring toxicity to the environment. And although you think you're being helpful, on one hand, you may be on a certain level, but where it's important, you're not. So it's important that you trust yourself that if the call comes in you to go help and look after her, then you'll go look after her. You'll make that decision at that time. If the call doesn't come in you to look after her, then you won't go look after her. That's it. But in you right now is, when I'm talking to you, do you trust that you would do that? Do you trust yourself
to take care of her
from a natural place, not from an obligation place, not from the place that you said, I'm bound to her as a daughter and these types of things, not this heaviness place. I'm talking, do you trust yourself from the natural givingness, from a natural reciprocity that is not coming from justification? If the call comes within yourself to go look after her, that oh, there it is. It's time to go. It's time to
just do the work. Yeah. Yeah, actually, I was also, before I left, I was sort of taking care of her because a week before I left, she was very weak and she needed to be helped, especially with the toilet and getting up and walking. So I also had that, I guess you would say, fear that because of our past, I wouldn't be able to take care of her. And I just see her and I'm not at ease. I already have this anger and resentment towards her. But the week before I left, I was able to do those things without the anger. So I really think that the course, the self-intelligence course, really helped. You know, and the day before I left, I didn't know how to say goodbye, but I just said, I just wanted to tell her, just thank her for taking care of us. And I finally got to say I loved her without any, without holding back. And I mentioned also that she has dementia. So I don't know how she took it, but it seemed like a lot of heaviness from my chest was lifted.
So it seems like you've answered your own question about how do I say goodbye to her. When you let everything go, as is the learning of self-intelligence, is the learning of how to let go, you knew exactly what to do. You knew exactly what to say.
Yeah, then I just jumped in there. I said, okay, I think I should just do this and say that. So I didn't think of the, opening up anymore about the differences that we had. I said, I think that's not important anymore.
Exactly. But see, you know that in yourself, Joan. There's just been this residual afterthought. But what if I haven't done enough? What if I'm going to regret, And that's so common to happen. But what you are to do is to acknowledge and to honor the fact that it unfolded perfectly. And I'm not letting these thoughts pass the keeper of my witnessing to bring on suffering that's completely insane. And today you have come just to navigate maybe some blind spots around that maybe didn't get so put in the light of your awareness. And as I would subscribe with any, create a prescription for anybody would be to, now that you have that thought very clear, whenever it comes up, or you could do it on a daily basis and only a couple of minutes, not very long. You don't have to spend long with this. Just to sit with that and be its witness, because you are undoing generations of conditioning in that it's been passed on from you, that was passed on, generation like this. And you are saying, I'm not going to continue that. I'm not going to continue because there is no point loving through guilt. This is not love. Love is my natural state, and you know this through experience. When I'm not in fear, then if my mother needs me or so on, I will know. I'll be responding from love now. Love knows what to do much more intelligent than fear. Fear is a very poor place to act from, to make decisions from. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll check in with you as a community member and to see how you have shifted through the inner conflict of being at peace with your current decisions. Okay.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much for this session, Chris. Yeah, at least I'm clearer now with the inquiry, the trigger inquiry, and which one I should focus on.
Perfect. Thank you, Joan. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you got value out of this, please share it so that other people can benefit also. If you are fed up with the drama, overwhelm, or suffering going on in your life, and you would like expert guidance and support tailored to your situation, come and be a guest on the Self-Intelligence podcast. Don't go another day confused how to address the challenges you are facing. If you want to be a guest, go to the link in the description below. And for more information about self-intelligence, including joining my next Wake Up experience or detailed information about my self-intelligence course, go to selfintelligence.com.